Again, the last part.
I'm going to have IT skim the beginning off because it is still 6:59. Um, so just call the order at 7 and I'll have them cut the before you call the order off.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
I'm
it.
going to give you Will, are you familiar with Zoom?
Oh, yes, I am. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to give Carlton the host, and then I'm gonna make you co-host just in case you guys need to let people in.
Sounds good.
So you both will have great powers here. All
Thank
right, you
you.
should be all set. You guys have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Talk to you later. Hey, Will, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock. So basically, the first thing is we need to make sure we say that the Zoom meeting is um, being held not in person, but we follow all the Massachusetts requirements for Zoom meetings. So, um, and I will say also that I will be playing around here with a little bit of stuff. Uh, so I have to watch my agenda over here. So the first bit order of business is call to order. The second is that acknowledge and welcome Will Longo as a committee member. Thank you, Will. And maybe if you could just give a few sentences about your experience and why you want to do this.
Sure. So my name is Will Longo. I'm a longtime resident of Bridgewater since I've been born. All 27 years of my life I've been in Bridgewater. In school, I studied environmental science and environmental policy at both Fordham University and Northeastern University. Always had an interest in kind of energy policy, environmental policy, everything of that nature. I wrote a senior thesis in school about Chinese and American energy policy and climate policy. And I recently started working at a company called Clean Harbors doing customer service environmental compliance. And I wanted to get involved because I've just had a long time interest in kind of like government, politics, and I wanted to try to step foot into town politics and town government and try to make a difference.
Thank you very much, and we're really pleased you stepped up. I also need to announce that our former matter member has needed to resign, so we're back to two people. So if anybody's watching this, we would welcome them to apply and help us out a little bit. The next order of business is approval of the minutes, and that's a bit of a challenge since you weren't a member then. Um, this was written back in July of 2025, and I think what we'll do there is just simply have a consensus that this is the final one. I'll remove the draft from it and go from there, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
All right. So I will do that. I just realized it had draft on it. And I will say also right now, this meeting, the agenda is very full, and I didn't know if people would be listening. So a lot of this is just getting the two of us oriented of what's going
Yep.
on. Uh, I don't see any public in here. I haven't seen anybody check
No, I
in.
haven't seen anybody.
Okay, and I don't know why it's only me showing up. Well, you're there too.
I'm here.
Anyway,
Yep.
what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about the energy aggregation program because we just got noticed through the town webpage and our consultants that basically on August 1st, National Grid redid their rates for power, and those rates are significantly lower than what anybody that's has not opted out or sequentially opted in to the aggregation. So I think we have 6 or 7 thousand meters on the aggregation, maybe more. I didn't get that data. But basically, what I wanted to make the statement to was is that National Grid's rates starting August 1st are um, 0.17185 dollars per kilogram, so 17 cents. Whereas the rate that we have are three of them. The standard rate is 0.141, and that's the basic rate. There's a rate that's slightly higher that only has 37% of the wind recs, and that one's 1.42. And then there's a 10% mass class recs that is 1.45. And basically, what that amounts to is anybody's power bill. if you were on grid, you would get an 18% savings if down to 16%. So that's a significant savings for people in town. And I will say that when I joined it, I had to opt in. I was saving over $85 a month. So any comments or thoughts, Sarah? I don't know if you've read it.
No, I haven't, but it sounds like a good thing for the town and its residents if it's like saving up to 16 to 18%. So,
And I've actually had some people say that they're really appreciative of it. But the other thing I'll say is if you go on the town's webpage and use the search function aggregation, you'll get to a site that actually shows uh, what the latest what letter I just read from. It's up there, and Colonial Power is the one that works with us. So there's information there about how to opt in or opt out as we can do regularly now. That's the whole part of that one. The public library, what that's about is that the um, under the Green Communities Plan, the town had applied for a grant to cover three things. One was windows, and it's an energy thing. So the window replacement, they would replace it with energy efficient windows. They had two other things in there. One was $7,500 against a hybrid or electric vehicle, and the other one was training for someone to operate HVA systems. I'm not sure of the status of that particular piece because the town planner we had um, left as of 1 July. So, and the town has not assigned anybody yet. I just had a conversation earlier today, and no one's assigned to that yet. So I'm going to have to get a meeting with the town manager to actually work with that.
mhm.
But that's, and we have to complete that before we're eligible for anything. And let's see, I had some other notes here. Yeah, the three elements, training vehicle, and I think the annual reports due in December, late November, early December. We have to figure that one out, and we'll work with that over the next couple months. So that's that, the public library. Uh, Will, do you have much knowledge on the specialized zoning code? Did you get a chance to read that?
No, I didn't.
So what I'm going to talk about that, and I had some good things happen to me this last week, and it took all of my time away, and so I would have done a PowerPoint to show people this, uh, but basically, the state has a stretch climate act that they passed in 2021, updated a bunch of regulations, and it allows them to there's called a stretch code. That's a building code that's very specific, and all new buildings in town have to meet that. And as a green community, it's automatically a regulation for our town. But the state also provided a specialized code, which basically is a little bit more strict in terms of what you have to do with the building. And this specialized code, first of all, it has to be an ordinance adopted by the town council. And what it does is for only new buildings only, uh, and you can't do anything on any kind of homes until the municipality adopts this. So there's other requirements. You can use it has a choice from natural gas and all electric, and that's a choice one can make. But the bottom lines are somewhat that they're a little bit buildings are a little bit cheaper to build under the specialized code according to the states. It makes it more efficient. This whole goal is, as you know, is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So
Yep.
that's what they're doing as a town, but the town has to actually adopt it. But one of the things it does, if the town accepted it, would be unlock other grants for funding and that kind of thing after it was accepted. Right now, the situation is the previous energy committee recommended it to the town council. They took it under advisement. They had an ordinance. That ordinance went out to committees, came back. They had a discussion. It went back out to another committee. Basically, it's not moved forward in the last 2 or 3 years because nobody's picked up the ball.
Mhm.
I think you and I are going to have to pick up the ball again soon. But it does encourage. I'm going to read from one of their comparisons. Um, Specialized code encourages the use of all electric heating, cooling, and hot water. Buildings that use fossil fuel systems must be pre-wired for future electrical systems and have solar. Uh, both codes, this is both the specialized and the stretch code. Both codes require 20% of the residential and businesses parking have parking spaces to be wired for electric vehicle charging. That's something we probably should ask the planning board and also ask the building inspector whether or not people are actually doing that as they build out new buildings, et cetera. Um, no, that's under the specialized code, but the stretch code requires the 20%. Um, I'm not going to go into it, but there's a table that the states put out that they compared the cost of the base code versus the stretch code. And what you find there is the builder costs are substantially lower because they don't have to put two systems in necessarily. Uh,
Mhm.
and the annual costs for the building owner, once they buy it, would be much less over the lifetime. So in some cases, like a 200, 2,100 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, the cost builders savings could be up to 29,000. And this is back in 23, not 2023. And the residential cost savings would be about $1,000. So this is something that I think we need to continue. If you wish, we need to, it's maybe the next meeting, just really put another letter back to the town council, but we'll talk about the next meeting in a little bit. Anyway, the ordinance that I noticed is you can find it online. It's ordinance D FY 24-003, and it's has to do with chapter 7.7 specialized energy code. So that and I'm probably going to talk a lot, but any comments or questions or confusion that I need to
No,
clear?
no confusion. I was just gonna note the fact that I'm typing notes right now. So if it looks like I'm typing, I'm just typing some notes on the meeting and stuff like that. Is that a good idea?
That's an excellent idea because you automatically become this secretary, recording secretary. That's what KZ did it before. So anyway, that's great that you have those notes because I have written notes, but that's super. Uh,
But just on what you were talking about, definitely, I think the fact that it sounded like a good idea to the last town council, but the fact that they didn't really pick it up or continue going on it is definitely something we should pick up on if it can really get us like a large amount of grants. I mean, it seems like it's not only good for the environment and the greenhouse gas savings, but if it's good for the town and its pocketbook, then I think that's a good thing to carry forward with.
yeah, well, the fact is that once you get down the road, there's another one we let's talk a little bit more about. I had included it in the packet that actually, if the town went to the really super end, the town could get grants, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. Um, As this other item, I took this agenda from the last minutes, advancing clean energy if efforts, climate change. Um, I will repeat what I've said before, but the master plan has two policies in it, and that's a policy, but everybody should pay attention to it. One is policy 871, commit to environmental sustainability in all town of Bridgewater policies. So we haven't done a review of all the policies, but that's a policy that we need to push with the town council. The other one is to investigate and promote alternative energy production and storage on town-owned parcels. That will, as a major discussion later on in our conversation, I may have provided you some of that in the past. But anyway, those are the two drivers that I think the Energy Committee needs to operate under, sustainability and potential alternative energy techniques. Um, what else? Um, yeah, let's see. Oh yeah. By the way, I did a PowerPoint to the town council back in February. That's posted on the Energy Committee's webpage and also part of the town council's minutes, et cetera.
Okay.
So the other piece is that out of the green community, uh, I've been looking at the energy consumption in town and how much we're saved as a green community. We needed to save more energy. This graph is not so visible, but you can see it's pretty flat. So and this energy use is all types. It's gas, electric, propane, diesel, gasoline, um, and gasoline, diesel. So under the green communities, we've received over $1 million in grants to upgrade our buildings and buy vehicles. And the most recent one was the library I mentioned earlier. Uh, and the state has what's called a Mass MVP. It's a information system database that tracks all uses of energy in towns as a green community. We're signed up to it. I follow that. And basically, it helps us understand what the consumption is. The other piece of the energy side of the story here, trying to bring you up to speed again, is we have a solar field here in town
Hmm.
that was put, land was taken out of agricultural restriction and put into commercial, and it's down off of Fireworks Circle, which is down off of Bedford Street. Anyway, that solar field, there's two fields were put in 2015 or 16, and it's been feeding solar energy to the town of Bridgewater exclusively since 2016, and I track all of that for the town. And basically, well, and I also track under the MEI all the energy use that they put in. It's not solar rates. And so that solar field, and again, I'll show this one if you can see it. That
Yep.
solar field has been saving us somewhere about 80 to 85% annually on our energy costs for the town. So that was another good thing that the Energy Committee did in the past. Unfortunately, this is why I should have done a PowerPoint. This graph basically shows the energy consumption in town on a basis a month and the energy production by the solar field. And what you see in that green thing was what our solar field produced. And obviously it doesn't produce when it's dark, and it overproduces when it's in the summer. But the interesting thing is the town's energy use is reflected in that electrical use, that yellow line. It's been going down. Unfortunately, the solar field is also going down a little bit because it's aging out. So that's just something else we need to keep an eye on as a committee.
Yep.
Uh, I have an energy cost comparison, but basically buying the solar over time, it's basically um, avoided like over $1.5 million of energy costs based on that. Did I talk with you once before you were signed on
Yeah,
about the
you did.
solar field thing?
Yeah, you briefly did. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but we can dig into it deeper. But basically, I did a study of all the town parcels, parking lots, that kind of thing. And there is potential, and this is something I really want to start pushing with the town manager and the council, is we potentially could solarize several parcels. And when you do that, you can get lease money for somebody, a solar developer to put it there. And you can also get betterment taxes on the property, I think. I was told that. But anyway, the bottom line is that you can increase the revenue to the town pretty significantly if we do that. Given the situation of funding in town, we need to find other sources of revenue. Uh, what else? Oh yeah, the other thing is the regional high school is has a lot of open areas, and I've spoken with them, but maybe I'd ask you to try to start to connect with the superintendent and the
Definitely.
um, school board committee to actually begin to push this. I think they're interested in it, but the momentum's not there. But there are schools that I've seen reports on that have gotten six-figure, seven-figure income off of solar fields. So that's another revenue issue that we should be talking about. So, and again, my last note on this one was we need to discuss with the town manager. I think the next meeting I'll have a one-on-one with him, but at the next meeting, maybe we can have him online and really dig into it. Okay? I know I'm throwing a lot out there. I'm going to
Yep.
skip the geothermal heating thing because I can't remember why it's in there, but I know there's new regulations that are coming out for geothermal. Maybe you know about those.
I know a little bit about geothermal just from the general overview it gets in every environmental policy class in school, but not much specifically to this region or anything.
Well, I'm not sure what the state's doing, but I think we need to maybe, if I could ask you on your spare time to do a little bit of research
Sure.
on
I can do
geothermal
that.
heating regulations here in Massachusetts.
I can do that.
Because I think it's good, and I don't know if it requires specific zoning. I know that a couple of buildings in town, if we had enough space, we could consider geothermal heating in the future. Some of the buildings, like the townhouse, is not used anymore. Um, so if you don't have any questions on that briefing that I just gave, fine. If you have, just email me and I can get or email Josh and we can get answers back and forth.
Sure.
By open meeting law, we're not allowed to discuss issues that are before us in quorum, and since there's two of us, we're in quorum. So that's how it works. Um, so I'm going to talk about a green communities opportunity it's called the Climate Leader Community, and it's online. There's lots of detail, but it has 6 requirements to become that kind of community under the Green Communities Act. One is that the green community be in good standing. Well, so far and you go out of standing if you don't finish your annual report. It's my earlier comment about we need that to happen. And we have to work out who's going to do that. So that's one requirement. The next one is establish and maintain a local committee to advise, coordinate, and or lead clean energy and climate activities. Well, that's the Energy Committee. We knew about that back in 2005, 6 when this was formed, and we did that immediately. Back then, it was the town select board formed that. There's a third requirement that's called a municipal decarbonization commitment. There's a fourth requirement called municipal decarbonization roadmap. So one is a commitment, one's a roadmap. Next one is to require zero emission vehicle first policy. And the last one is the specialized stretch energy code has to be adopted, which we've already talked a little bit about. And what does that do? It leads to, in some cases, $1 million grants.
And what were number 5 and 6 there?
Number 5, and what I'm going to do is take these figures and put them into a PDF document, and I'll send it for the minutes.
All right, sounds good.
5 was zero dash emission dash vehicle first policy. In other words, get rid of gas powered vehicles. Over time, it's you phase it in. And then the other one, and that's part of the roadmap. Requirement 6 is the specialized stretch energy code. And I wasn't sure if we'd have a lot of public on here or not, so I'm going to go fairly quickly. What are the possibilities and why we want to do this? It provides 2 different grant tracks. First was decarbonization technical support, which provides up to $150,000 to hire vendors to produce recommendations and engineering design documents for one or more clean energy projects. If we were in fact a climate leader, the things I talked about, the solar fields, we need somebody to really go in and assess it. If we had that grant, we could do that. But until the council adopts a climate leader piece, we're out of luck. The second one is these decarbonization accelerator grants. And those particular grants provide up to $1 million for projects that significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions for municipal operations. So that could be all sorts of projects, reducing fossil fuel consumption, cutting energy use, could be including renewable energy technologies, heat pumps. So there's a lot of things that the town would benefit by becoming a climate leader, and the town in this current fiscal situation could really use those grants.
So could that, you mentioned heat pumps, could that involve giving community members an opportunity to like apply for money from that grant to install heat pumps in their house, or is that more like in municipal buildings kind of?
I don't have a good answer for that, but this, if you click in on Green Communities Climate Leader for the state, you'll get well, you'll get a document that's about this thick,
Yeah.
and it's called Program Guidance Community Leader Community Certification Grant Program. So there's that's actually attached to the packet that came out, so you can take a look at that if you want,
Yeah.
and maybe help me figure out next steps when we meet the next time. And I'm not going to get into it, but the requirement for decarbonization, that basically says climate leader community certification must commit to eliminating on-site fossil fuel use by municipality. On-site, I think that doesn't mean vehicles, but the way you can meet requirement 3 is to simply have a energy climate resolution from the town council that directs the community to take some sort of action. So one thing, maybe an action coming out of this meeting, is we need to probably develop a letter to the town manager and council and help them maybe put together a resolution to adopt. That would be another good way to get us before that. So I had not realized that until I just read that. It's a resolution. It doesn't mean anything you have to, but it says you will try as a resolution. But if you do that, and there is help for this, the decarbonization roadmap, you have to develop this roadmap, which basically sets up goals, governing emissions, and it says it should focus on eliminating on-site fossil fuels in buildings and vehicles, using a zero over time approach. It's a whole plan that says here, basically it's a strategic tactical plan. But it says here, DOER, Department of Energy, is offering technical assistance to communities to prepare a municipal decarbonization roadmap. Applications will be reviewed 3 times a year following the last Fridays, March, July, and November. So the next period is November, it's coming up. Awards will be prioritized to municipalities that have met other climate leader community certification requirements. So if we'd met some, we'd get a priority. But this is another recommendation that I want to take to the town manager when I have our one-on-one meetings, hopefully in the next month or so. And we talked about the Zero First is basically purchasing only zero emission vehicles. And the third one is the specialized stretch code that we've already talked about. So I would like to at least start pushing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the final thing, we've already said it, but I'm going to say it again in case the public listens. Climate leader grants under consideration for in the past: on-site solar and storage on fully electrified buildings, on-site solar and storage on new construction, support for ground source heat pumps, for existing and new construction, seed funds for energy sustainability matter. In other words, somebody that could do a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Activities on best practices. It's all competitive, but it's funding that I'm sure the town manager will want to talk about because he's done some of this in other towns that he's been involved with. I'm not going to go into this other piece here, but there's a lot of resources. By the way, an example is one of the town people and I went to Green Communities Leading by Example Summit. It was a conference that was held up in Worcester, and basically we came back, and they have all sorts of sessions, and we came back with some examples of how you can decarbonize, what fits, that kind of thing. But that's one thing, if you're interested in attending that kind of conference, we'll definitely get at least some funding for um, attendance, fees for signing up, that kind of thing.
Yep.
That's happened in the past. We're almost there. Again, the Bridgewater Regional School District opportunity. This is called a regional school. This is Green Communities. And this district does not have to be a member of the Green Communities to do this, but it's basically a regional school district decarbonization grant program. And basically what that does is provide funding for things like space conditioners, cooling, heating systems, water heating projects, battery-powered facilities maintenance material, like lawnmowers, et cetera, weed whackers, and commercial kitchen equipment. And that grant would be up to 150,000 and 25% match. But the Bridgewater Regional School District is eligible, and I think we need to get an audience with them. The last one that I wanted to talk about briefly was the Department of Energy Resources has a new CMR 225. It says 225 CMR 29.0 section, small clean energy infrastructure facility siting and permitting. The state has developed a whole new siting guidance regulation, how do you want to call, and that comes in play. And I read it, I saw it, but I'm not sure exactly how it files in. But it has things like what's it for, definition, how it works, transition, health and safety standards, site suitability, which is a really big thing. And as I think they start to say you can't put it on, or you shouldn't put it, or maybe can't put it on some kind of row crop or something like that. But there's even better, it's a consolidated local permit application, quicker review process. They provide technical assistance. And it's basically common conditions and requirements for constructive approval. You don't have to type. I'll get this. I'll copy all these and send them to you.
Okay.
And then there's some model small clean energy infrastructure facility permitting ordinance. So that's available, and I just haven't pursued that. And I was hoping that we have a three-person committee, and we could really start to pursue some of that stuff. So that was all of our discussion points, and I wanted to get it out there as new business, and for you and I to begin to digest some of these documents. And then actually I guess the action item would be maybe you can send Josh and he can send it to me, or you can send it directly with copies to Josh of any ideas you might have with implementing these kinds of things.
Good idea.
Under open meeting law, we can set agenda items, we can talk about agenda items, but we cannot discuss things that are before or potentially before the committee. So that's the process that I follow for that. Is if I have something to send out to the committee at whole, I would send it out with a statement, not for discussion until in public session. So that's how I handle that particular open meeting law. And if you haven't had training on the open meeting law, I know you had some ethics things you had to fill out, sign in.
Yep.
But I would go look and see if some open meeting law information, because it can kick you in the backside if you don't do it right. You could end up with all sorts of issues. So I try to follow it as much as possible. I've had the training 3 times. And one of the things I've taken away is that what I just said is you can send things out. You just can't start emailing back and forth or pick up a phone, that kind of stuff. You can't start discussing it in quorum unless you're in public meeting. Now I've overwhelmed you, but you've taken great notes. But I
think
thought
it's gonna take a little bit to get up to speed, but it's definitely good to have these items on the agenda and on the floor, and then kind of digesting them. And then I think right now it seems like a lot of this stuff is that stuff that was kind of overdue, bringing that to the town council and town manager and kind of getting that in front of them and seeing what maybe they want to run with, and that kind of informs what we want to run with. Does that make sense?
Next time, yeah, that's a great idea. Make sure the minutes show that. Um, the next time we are supposed to go before the town council once a year. It was last February that I got before them after 3 years of not. But I think the kind of thing you just said is what we want to put before them and start to talk about.
Yep.
So I ended up with a very, very long presentation. It's up on the Energy webpage. But the critical things is what do we do next? What are the policies we should pursue? And that's what I really think we need to start focusing on.
Yep.
Um, so I'm going to move the Green Community Staff Report. Like I mentioned, the annual report's due, I think, in November of 26, late November. We don't have an author for that. The former town planner did all the work. It's all online. Oh, that's the other thing. I need to get you permission to log into the MEI. I need to get that because you have to have permission to go in there. I have had permission since it began and the town planner had it. But on that database, it's another learning curve. But they've just upgraded their database. It has graphics. It has all sorts of things you can do with the data. The big kicker for me is that I've been doing the gas and diesel. The fossil fuel has to be uploaded individually.
Hmm.
And sometimes that takes a lot of time because you have to go through quarterly reports that the finance department gives me, and you have to look at the months and you have to do a lot of math to figure it all out and then upload it specifically. Uh, at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, I'd like to transfer that to someone.
Sure.
Typically, we met schedule-wise, we typically met quarterly.
Hmm.
And I would like to go back to that to minimize the time. Uh, but what I want to do is actually, after I talk with the town manager, hopefully in September, try to have an October meeting with his input and have him at the meeting and do it, if possible, in person, so we can just dig into some of these details that we're talking about.
Yep.
So that next meeting's to be determined, but as soon as possible. The last thing I put on here was reorganize. Every year, the committee's supposed to reorganize. And I'm more than happy to have your agreement that I would retain the chairmanship until you're up to speed totally,
Yep. We're
or at
definitely.
least down the road. And thank you for taking notes. Do you have anything that I may have missed a lot, but I know you're very busy with work and those kinds of things. But if anything comes up, send it to Josh. We can put it on an agenda.
Sounds good. I think I'm got enough on my plate for this one, but I'll definitely digest it. I'll look at the packet and everything, and next meeting we'll definitely have some more to talk about for sure.
That's great. And maybe we'll have some things we want to vote on. By the way, the packet came out. If you downloaded it, it has the links for these documents I just talked about for the
Yep.
most part. So not hearing anything else. Again, under Robert's Rules of Order, I learned something that if a meeting's done, the chair has the prerogative to declare seeing no further business, the meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
But I'll take a motion to adjourn from you.
All right.
So you motioned it and I seconded
Yes.
it, and then we have to do a roll call vote, which says yay or nay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yay, good, and I'll do yay. So the meeting is adjourned. I thank you, and just let Josh know, work through Josh a little bit, and we'll go from there. All
All
right?
right. Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
See you, Carlton.
Bye-bye. Have a good
Bye.
week.
You too.